Welcome to Charlie's Toolbox, a podcast for women building sovereign, self-led lives. Here, we explore how art, fashion, media, and mindset become tools for power, clarity, and creative direction. This isn't self-help. This is cultural strategy for women who lead themselves.
Welcome back to the show. Today, we are talking about perfectionism, emotional chaos, and why one of television's most dysfunctional characters became one of its most beloved. We are talking about Fleabag. If you haven't seen it, it is a show I recommend. A lot of people have seen it, but if you haven't, it's on Amazon. But before we dive in, if you are enjoying this conversation, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And if you want to go deeper with me on topics like this, subscribe to my Substack at charliestoolbox.substack.com. I share extended thoughts, essays, and resources there that we don't always have the time for in podcast format. All right, let's get into it. I need to tell you something. For years, the shower was where I fell apart. I'd step in and turn on the water, and while I was washing my body, my brain would just start to replay everything. Every mistake I'd made that day, or that week, or that year, or that decade, every stupid thing I'd say or have said, every moment I'd been awkward or selfish or just not enough, I'd stand there and cry under the water. And then I'd get so upset with myself for crying because I saw myself as being weak for not having it all together. Here I was in the shower where it was supposed to be a place to relax, to clean myself, to unburden myself. But it became the space where I would take my time out to punish myself. And then I watched Fleabag. Here was this character who made mistakes constantly, who was messy and flawed and sometimes a genuinely awful person, who used sex to run from her grief, who carried crushing guilt about her best friend's death, and yet she didn't completely destroy herself over it. She kept this sort of dark humor, this self-awareness that left room for eventually finding her way back to herself. That show gave me a kind of freedom I didn't know I needed. It showed me that you could be imperfect, chaotic, use unhealthy coping mechanisms, which is something I do, make terrible choices, and still find your way to self-acceptance. Still be worthy of love. Still give yourself compassion even while you are a mess. So today we are talking about what made Fleabag so revolutionary, not just as a character, but as a blueprint for how we might treat ourselves. So let's start with that inner voice. You know the one. The running commentary Fleabag shared with us through the camera, that snarky, observational, brutally honest narration. Here's what's fascinating about her. Her inner voice was sharp. Yes, it was cynical and cutting, and she absolutely had moments of self-loathing. She used sex to avoid dealing with her grief over Boo's death. She made destructive choices, and she knew she was making them. But even in her worst moments, even when she was spiraling, her inner commentary had this quality of witnessing rather than complete annihilation. It was more like, I know this is fucked up and I'm going to do it anyway, rather than I'm worthless and broken and beyond repair and that's why I'm doing it. There's a huge difference between acknowledging you're making a mess and deciding you are a mess beyond redemption. When Fleabag messed up, she'd give us that look through the camera. Half confession, half dark humor. She wasn't pretending to be okay, but she also wasn't drowning herself in the kind of brutal self-hatred that leaves no room to breathe. Most of us have inner critics that would make your friends, your best friends, see yourself as incredibly cruel. We replay our mistakes on a loop. We magnify every single flaw. We hold ourselves to standards that we never, ever, ever, ever place on our friends. Fleabag struggled too, but she maintained this sliver of self-awareness that didn't tip all the way into self-destruction, even when she was using destructive coping mechanisms. And that brings me to the emotional chaos. Fleabag didn't try to tidy herself up. She didn't perform the version of herself that society says is acceptable. You know, the one that's always pulled together, emotionally regulated, always gracious and appropriate. She was grieving. She was horny, she was angry, she was lonely, she was all of these things at once and sometimes in the same scene. And she didn't apologize for any of it. In a culture obsessed with wellness and optimization and having your life together, which I do contribute, my brand at times can contribute to that, Fleabag gave herself permission to be a mess. And here's the amazing part of that. The show didn't punish her for it. It didn't present her chaos as something that needed to be fixed before she could be worthy of love or connection. We are so conditioned to believe that we need to be perfect or at least performing perfection to be lovable. That we need to have processed all of our trauma, resolved all of our issues, become our best selves before we deserve love or belonging. And Fleabag showed us something different. She showed us that you can be a work in progress, a messy, contradictory, flawed work in progress, and still be worthy, still be lovable, still be fundamentally okay. And we saw the characters around her, like her sister, the priest, her father, show that she is still always lovable. But not only did she show that, she talked and showed us about perfectionism. And we could have a talk about this too. Let's talk about perfectionism for a minute, because it's the opposite of everything she embodied. Perfectionism tells us you're not good enough yet. Once you fix things, you will achieve. Once you become better, then you'll be acceptable. And let's be honest, perfectionism is exhausting and you are working towards something that you can never achieve anyway. Like, it's a moving target. It's a way of never arriving at okayness, because there's always something else to improve, something in your way, something falling short, something always not quite there according to you. And with a critical mind, you can always find something that isn't right. Perfectionism keeps us small. It keeps us from taking risks, from being authentic, from showing up as we actually are, because we're so busy trying to be who we think we should be. And this character didn't lean into perfectionism. She didn't try to present a curated version of herself. She was authentically messy, and in that authenticity, she landed perfectly within herself. Not perfect, but perfectly herself. And that's the distinction we miss. We don't need to be perfect. We need to be authentic. Fleabag wasn't lovable despite her flaws. She was lovable in part because of them. And you are too. Her flaws made her human, and it makes you human too. Her mistakes makes her relatable, and it makes you relatable too. And so does your dysfunction. When we're vulnerable about our struggles, when we're honest about our messiness, we give other people permission to be human too. We create connection, not through our perfection, but through our shared imperfection. If you think about all of the people who you are very close with, chances are they're not the people who seem to have it all together. They're the people who've let you see their struggles, their doubts, their messiness, their messy humanity, and they allowed for yours to be there too. And what this show did, what the writer did for us, is let us see everything. The good, the bad, the cringeworthy, the funny, the sad, the grief. You got to witness something that is fully human too. And it reminded us, it reminded you that you can be a little shit sometimes and still be loved. You can make mistakes and still be worthy. You can be selfish one moment and generous the next. You can maintain multitudes. Contradictions don't make you broken. They make you human. Fleabag didn't start out at peace with herself. She was running very hard. She was running. She used sex as a way to not feel the grief of losing Boo. She sabotaged relationships. She carried massive guilt about her role in her best friend's death and her affair with Boo's boyfriend. She was avoiding, deflecting, numbing. But here's what the show gave us: a journey. We watched her slowly, painfully stop running. And by the end of the series, something shifts for Fleabag. She confronts her guilt, her grief, her patterns. She finally admits what happened with Boo. She faces the priest and admits she loves him. She stops breaking the fourth wall because she doesn't need us anymore. She's finally present in her own life. She makes peace with her demons, not by becoming perfect, not by erasing her past, but by finally turning around and looking at what she'd been running from. All of it. All of it. The death of her best friend, her complicated feelings about her mother, her sexuality, her capacity for both selfishness and deep love. And here's what happens when you stop running and make peace with your demons. You don't become perfect, you just become whole. You stop performing. You stop trying to outrun your humanity. That's when you find the feeling you've been looking for. Not perfection, not perfection, not perfection. Not having it all together, but peace. Integration. The sense of being at home in yourself, even with all your contradictions and complications. Let's bring this home with some concrete takeaways that I want you to carry with you. Number one, rewrite your inner dialogue. Notice when your inner voice crosses the line from observation to cruelty. Try speaking to yourself the way Fleabag did, with a bit of snark, sure, but also with room for self-compassion. Why am I like this? With curiosity. And it beats thinking I'm worthless every single time. Number two, give yourself permission for emotional chaos. You don't need to have it all together. Have it all figured out. You don't need to be calm all the time and collected and emotionally regulated 24/7. Sometimes you're going to be a mess. And that's not just okay. It is truly human. Stop waiting to be perfect before you allow yourself to just be. Number three, perfectionism is keeping you from yourself. Notice where you're performing instead of being authentic. Where are you trying to be who you think you should be rather than who you actually are? That gap, that's where perfectionism lives. Close it by choosing authenticity even when it's super nasty, messy. Takeaway number four, your flaws create connection, not distance. The next time you're tempted to hide your struggles or put on a brave face, consider being honest instead. Vulnerability is magnetic. And your realness gives others permission to be real too. And number 5, make peace with your demons. Whatever it is you're running from, guilt, grief, shame, past mistakes, is coming with you until you turn around and face it. You don't have to fix it or erase it. You just have to acknowledge it as part of your story. That's when you stop running and start living. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be you, fully, messily, courageously you. And that right there, that's enough. And that has always been enough. So on that note, you all take care. Bye.
That concludes our exploration for today. I hope this conversation has sparked something within you. A new insight, a challenge to the status quo, or a deeper connection to your own radical vision. Remember, Charlie's Toolbox is more than a podcast. We are a cultural studio, a movement, a revolution. If you're ready to dive deeper, to access exclusive tools, and to build alongside a powerful assembly of visionary women, visit charliestoolbox.com to discover the Radical Atelier. Thank you for listening. Until next time, keep crafting your sovereignty.